Y'all was so excited. Anton, the charges was dropped. That means that you was wrong. Does it? Does it? All right, let's go ahead and play the news report. Let's get into it without further ado. And then we're going to break it down. I'm going to give you my perspective, and then we're going to go from there. All right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Over the past few days, this has been a social media discussion.
Actually, I don't even want to start with that one. I don't want to start with this one. I don't want to start with this one. I want to start with a different one. Let's start with this one. Let's start with the news report. I got you, Bitcoin Brown. I'll breed that shit.
Very own WGN Evening News at 6.
In a dramatic reversal, Cook County prosecutors dropping murder charges against a Southside mother and son.
Two arrested last week in the deadly shooting of a 32-year-old restaurant patron. WGN's Julian Cruz is live at the Cook County Jail with more on that. Julian.
Well, Micah, Ray, in a surprise announcement, prosecutors dropping that first-degree murder charge as well as other offenses after taking a
I got you, Mike Jones. We're going to address it. I'm going to get to it. I promise you I'm going to get to it, bro.
closer look at the evidence that includes store surveillance video and cell phone video. Family members, supporters, and community leaders over the weekend making the argument for self-defense. Carlisha Hood emerging this afternoon from the Cook County Jail. Can you guys talk to us? Carlisha Hood bypassing reporters outside the Cook County Jail as she steps into a waiting car. The 35-year-old bypassing reporters' questions as she quickly jumps into the back seat of a waiting car.
So she was released. Charges officially dropped. Cool. Let's continue.
Hood and her 14-year-old son, who's been at a juvenile detention center, freed from custody today after a dramatic reversal. Based upon our continued review, prosecutors say, and in light of emerging evidence today, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office has moved to dismiss the charges against.
Now, it says, based upon our continued review in light of emerging evidence today. Now, what should that emerging evidence be? Let's continue. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office has moved to dismiss the charges against Carlisha Hood. Let's continue. We're going to get the whole thing, and then we're going to break it down.
Against Carlisha Hood and her 14-year-old son. Mother and son arrested and charged last week with murdering a restaurant patron at Maxwell Express Restaurant at 116th and Halstead. Store surveillance video shows Hood getting into a fierce argument with 32-year-old Jeremy Brown. Hood texting her son for help. Witnesses describing how Brown started punching her, and at the very moment Hood's son steps into the doorway, according to witnesses, the 14-year-old reaching into his pocket for a gun and opening fire. At last week's bond hearing, prosecutors revealing that the 14-year-old was ordered by his mother to keep shooting as an already wounded Brown.
None of the details is changing. I want y'all to hear what's happening right now. None of the details is changing. Still ordered to keep shooting. Still, she told her son to keep shooting. She didn't grab it and then start shooting herself. She ordered him to keep shooting. Let's go. I'm just pointing out to you what the news are reporting. What the news is reporting. Before I even give my thoughts on the charges being dropped, I'm gonna just play it out. I'm gonna let it go for the whole length, and then we gonna break it down. I'm gonna read super chat shortly. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Staggered out into the parking lot, authorities later declaring the 32-year-old dead. But Cook County prosecutors electing to reverse course. Based upon the facts, evidence, and the law, we are unable to meet our burden of proof in the prosecution of.
So it doesn't mean that they feel like that the charges was wrong. It means that they don't believe that they can meet the burden of proof and get her convicted in a jury of her peers. Let me say that again. Based upon the facts, evidence, and the law, we are unable to meet our burden of proof in the prosecution of these cases. Now, obviously, I get there. 1 minute. We gonna get there.
These cases. Cook County prosecutors also saying that neither Hood or her son had any sort of prior criminal record. Investigators say that Hood holds a valid firearm owner's identification card, although it was her son who pulled the trigger.
All right, so let's back up for a minute. Let's back up for 1 second, all right? Let's back up for 1 second. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, because I will go to a Teach commercial just like that without even thinking twice about it. All right, so let's break it down. Before we get into this, the first thing that I want to highlight here is that I think that the man that swung on this woman was absolutely wrong. I think he was absolutely, positively, egregiously wrong. There is never, I don't think that you're going to find one person in the world that would agree with the idea that this man was supposed to cock back and put his hands on that woman. I don't care if he was sober. I don't care if he was drunk. I don't care about any of that, right? Egregiously wrong. All right? That's A. B, I'm not even tripping over the idea that they not prosecuting her. I don't want a woman that has no prior criminal history or her son to go to jail as a result of this. That's not the issue. Not the issue at all. I think that that man should be put 10 feet deep, not 6, 10 feet deep into the ground for putting your hands on somebody, because I don't believe that anybody, and it ain't even the fact that he was a man. I believe that women, men, keep your motherfucking hands to yourself. That's not even the issue either. That's not my argument. Not my argument whatsoever. That's not even a debate. You with me so far? Y'all with me? We all agree, right? Don't put your hands on people. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Keep your motherfucking hands to yourself. And then B, I don't want her to spend the rest of her days in prison at all. I think that that would have been egregious. I think that that would have been a problem, an issue. That's not what the stance is, not even a little bit. The problem is this, and it's really a few different things that we need to highlight right here, okay? A, we're not acknowledging and we're not having a conversation about the idea that these positions that are choosing to charge or not charge are all voted on, at least here in Michigan. When you get a Kim Worthy, who were the person or the woman that decided to prosecute and send a man to jail that I interviewed on my channel, and he was a 14-year-old kid, and they basically put him in there for life, even though they wound up having to release him because they realized that he was not even guilty of what it is that they did. All of these positions, it's a few different points I want to make here. All of these positions are political, which means that they're incentivized, and then they're then determining whether or not they're going to prosecute based off of the court of public opinion. Social media factors into that. Mob rules. So when they have the ability to be able to see what people are saying versus reviewing how it is that they prosecuted previous cases, and yes, men are a part of this, and that's going to be a part of the second part, we can see that the process is flawed. Now, if you're only prosecuting based off of the possibility of your record being tarnished because you don't think that you can get a conviction, is that really law or is that justice? And the way that men factor into this is because I seen nobody, not a soul, not a body. You know how they got that meme and it says no one, and then it says me, or whatever it is that it says? Not a soul, not one person had anything to say for over 2 to 3 years of Travis Rudolph. And he didn't even have a kid in the conversation. But not one soul had anything to say when a woman had set up Travis Rudolph and had her brothers crash out. They was trying to still have him convicted at the fact that he kept shooting when the dudes came over there with a pistol because they said that it wasn't self-defense. So what I'm asking you is, if it's good for the goose, is it good for you too? This further illustrates what we say on a regular basis, and that men, we have no protection. And there is and never will be equal. And so this is not a case of whether or not she's guilty or whether or not the dude was supposed to die as a result of putting his hands on somebody. That's not even what the conversation should be. The conversation should be, why is it so imbalanced when it comes to the social justice, the mob warriors, all of these simps out here? They will come to the defense of any single person or any woman out here in a general sense. But when it comes to men, when it comes to Travis Rudolph, when it comes to listen, I've never in my entire life ever seen a case drop this fast when it comes to an investigation. I've never ever seen, and I waited before I even broke this down on Monday because this happened last week. I've never ever seen a case get dropped this fast as a result of a video being released on social media, ever. They didn't say that it was wrong. They didn't say that the evidence is different. They didn't say that the text messages is different. They didn't say that she didn't tell the dude to continue to go and kill. Because the real victim here is the 14-year-old boy. The real victim is the fact that she basically have enabled him and he going to be ruined for the rest of his life because he can't unsee what he did. She wasn't the one that was carrying a pistol and licensed as a result to do it and then protected herself. The boy became the weapon. I've never seen a case dropped this fast in my entire life. The boy was the weapon, not the pistol. We having the wrong conversations. We keep talking about whether or not the dude should die or not. Nobody is disagreeing with the fact that the dude shouldn't have put his hands on anybody in the first place. The question then becomes, who is the real victim in this situation? And it's the boy. When it comes to becoming a parent, when it comes to raising our children, this is insane that we even having this conversation right now. If you can't acknowledge or you can't even pay attention to the idea that this was dropped not as a result of what it was or what it is that they would usually do if a man was in this situation, but it was dropped purely off of the idea that the social media warriors, we see nobody. Political activists, campaigns, everybody started mobilizing when it came to getting the charges dropped and having a conversation about whether or not it is. And that's cool. Why that same energy and that same smoke don't come as a result of when a man find himself at the same position? That's all I'm saying. When a man do something, he all alone, by himself, singularly, that's it. It's just over for you. It's men every single day that's getting out of jail as a result of the Innocence Project, and nobody gives a flying fuck as a result of them. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about. Fellas, this is a lesson for you. This is a lesson for you. And I'm going to show you another video that actually justifies what I'm saying. This is a lesson for you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody gives a fuck about you. While you over here trying to save the community, they going to step right over your dead body and they going to advocate for somebody that can't truly protect them. This is one of the activists right here, right? And this activist is going to tell you the sentiment of how it is that we operate in a society, even though we advocate for equal. Let's hear what he has to say.
Over the past few days, this has been a social media discussion.
I'm going to read Super Chat shortly.
Media. I put up a post about it. Got over 31 million views over the past couple days. You know, let me just say everything that happened in this situation was terrible. First, of course, there was a loss of life, and we are always sympathetic to the loss of life, especially in Chicago when you lose people so much with hundreds of people being killed. In this situation, it started off with a very violent attack.
No, it didn't start off that way. Let's be clear. It did not start off that way. It started off with, if you were with a man and he had a father in his life overseeing what was happening, they wouldn't even have been out there at that late of a time in the first place. Secondly, it also escalated to the point to where obviously nobody wants to have the conversation about what was being communicated between a man and a woman. Now, again, I'm going to say it again. It's no justification for anybody putting their hands on nobody. He should have never put his hands on her. But what was being said and what is the conversation prior to them recording and putting out a small little clip of him saying, yo, say one more thing, I'm going to fire on you. Why is all of that part being left out? Come on. Y'all don't want to talk about this for real. Y'all want to just do the fluff. You want to do the fluff thing, and you only want to say what's politically correct, or y'all want to have a whole conversation? You want to talk about where it started, or do you want to talk about how it ended? Or do you only want to talk about when the video recorder started being cut on and when they released it to the general public? Okay, don't worry about it. Let's continue.
In which Miss Hood, who has been a supporter for many years, her son saw his mother being hit by this man several times. At first, when this situation first uncovered, the media covered it.
Watch this. I've seen this clip. Watch this. This is an activist and a man that is advocating on behalf of her getting released, which is cool, but watch his narrative. Watch the why. The why is more important than the result. The understanding as to how it is that you went about. You can kill somebody, but if you kill them in self-defense versus you kill them in cold blood is going to be the determining factor for whether you're held accountable for your actions. The why matters. Watch. Just pay attention.
As the mother directed her son to kill someone, in which everyone around the city of Chicago was like, oh my God, why would that mother do something like this? Then the video surfaced. I posted the video. It got over 31 million views. And folks all over the country said that this is a case of self-defense. Let me first just say that I am disheartened that people were there, especially men that were there, that watched this happen. And it had to be a 14-year-old boy to save his mother. Where are we as a community if situations like this can happen and a woman can be severely attacked and no one does anything? There were several people in the establishment and everyone said it wasn't their problem. And they
It's your fault, fellas. It's your fault, men. It's your fault. It's your fault. The why it happened is as a result of you, gentlemen. You are to be held accountable. It's your fault. Whatever it is that played, I'm trying. They don't want to talk. They don't want Anton to have this conversation because I'm gonna tell you the whole thing. I'm not gonna tell you half of it. I'm gonna have this conversation in truth. We are going to really dissect what's really happening, and hopefully we can put this to rest because I don't even want to continue talking about this. But I'm trying to tell you what the sentiment is and why they don't give a fuck about you. It's your fault, family. Why are we not holding the men accountable as a result of what happened to this woman? That's what they telling you. This is how they program you. This is why you a simp. This is why women are then raising their sons to then be the next versions and the super simps that's going to come along with it, and they're going to enable their sons to be the weapons. You're going to be son husbands, and then you're going to start holding other men accountable on behalf of these women that's choosing and then advocating the equal rights and the equal protections and the equal ability to be able to carry guns and the decisions to be able to choose for themselves, right? It's your fault. This is your fault, men. Look, Jay Lambert, 82, is in the chat saying he's not wrong, though. Brandslayer TV says you get on this podcast and say anything. Now, what am I saying that's so outrageous right now? We all agreed that the man should have never put his hands on a woman. We also agreed that I don't believe that she should be going to jail or the son should be going to jail as a result of their actions. When we start to dissect this and have a real conversation, what am I saying that's off? How are men then becoming responsible? for the decisions that you're able to make on your own. If something happens to me, will it then become the responsibility of the whole community, or is it just my fault? Are women then to be held responsible for how it is that they raise their sons? Are women then to be held responsible for how it is that they didn't pour into me the way that they were supposed to throughout my whole life? Or is it just my responsibility? Let's finish hearing what he got to say, because I don't want to just play this in a vacuum. I want to make sure that we're listening to this in its entirety. Let's continue.
Backed up. And it took her own son, 14 years old, to step up and, put it into this situation and do what he felt was right. This son, actor, star in Chirac
Good
movie,
kid.
star
Good kid.
In The Chi.
Absolutely.
Honor roll student.
Honor roll student.
Somebody, he wasn't just some young kid that was out here carjacking.
We agree on that.
Killing.
Very
He was
good
actually
kid.
A kid who had, a bright and has a bright future and has done a lot of great things in his life. And so in this situation, he was looking out for his mother.
Facts.
No one else would. No one else in the establishment did anything.
We went from the kid being a good kid to now it's everybody else. Now, everybody else. Now, let's say hypothetically I was in an establishment. Let's play hypothetical here. And I told that woman, hey, ma'am, you're going to have to shut the fuck up before this man actually fire on you because he's wrong. Hey, ma'am, listen, you're going to have to shut the fuck up before this man fire on you because he's wrong. You shouldn't be arguing with this guy. This guy's dangerous. Be quiet. Because that's a version of provision and protection, right? Now, if I'd have told her that and she'd have said, fuck you, is that a version? Am I being accountable to my fellow black woman? Let's say, because I've seen guys do this too. Let's say you see a man and a woman arguing. You don't know who. You don't know if they know each other. You don't know what the fuck is going on. And I've seen a guy, and we've seen numerous police reports of guys jumping into and trying to save a chick. He get killed, the couple go off, and then they wind up still being with each other. Hey, how many bullets y'all gonna jump in front of in order to save people from themselves? How many times are y'all gonna be held accountable for the decisions that people face on a regular basis? Don't worry about it. Let's continue.
And so once he saw his mother being severely, hit, he took action. I would never praise a loss of life. I would never praise any situation that ends in violence. It's not okay, especially in the city of Chicago. But in this case, this young boy did what he felt was right. And I believe that the decision by the state's attorney today was correct. But what I need to say is that we need cultural foundation in these neighborhoods. We need to bring a village back. People need to understand that we got to stop allowing this violent behavior in our neighborhoods, period. Should never be any case where anyone is putting their hands on someone and acting violently in any establishment, in any neighborhood, and we got to step up and say enough is enough. And it shouldn't have ended this way, especially with so many other people that were in.
Blackheart Green Paper said, let me read this super chat. It said, Anton, you was at the bar one time and that happened, Anton, remember? It did. A chick was in there. She was getting a little spicy. She was talking a little extra, and I wound up sitting in the seat right next to her. It's on YouTube. I sat right in the seat next to her. Her man was walking in. I was looking at him. He was looking at me. I was looking at him, and I was just looking at him. And he snatched that chick the fuck up and said, "Who the fuck you? I can't believe you." I was looking at her like, y'all ain't gonna call the police. Y'all ain't gonna call the police. You think I'm about to crash out for this chick? Hey, y'all not gonna call the police? Y'all got a phone down there. I call the police. I call the police. Call the authorities. Hey, there's some violent behavior happening out here in these streets. Y'all might want to come out here and address this. I'm not crashing out for you. I was in J. Alexander, Sabrina. You remember that? I'm not crashing out for you, bro. You chose wrong. You chose wrong. Listen, we in a different era, a different time. We are in a different era and a different time. What I'm trying to tell you is that I'm not crashing out for you. I've even seen people get sued because they tried to help somebody and they made a mistake allegedly and injured them throughout the process, and they had to get their lawyers up on that shit. I'm not crashing out for you at all. Not even a little bit. I call 911. I'll call the local authorities. I'll alert the management so that they can also put in the call to 911. Seen a woman walking straight down 7 Mile, naked. No, I stopped and tried to give her a shirt. Wouldn't touch her. I took the shirt off my back. My wife was with me. I had witnesses. I said, hey, y'all see what's going on right here? They say, yeah. I said, Rita, record this. Took the shirt off my back. I had a wife beater on up under it. And I tossed it to her and said, hey, girl, put this on. Put this on because I don't want you walking down the street naked because nobody else would do nothing. She said, could you take me home? I said, I'm sorry, I can't. The police is on their way. Cover up for now. I'm not touching you. I'm not getting involved. I will give you what it is that I have. I will wait until the police come. Half hour later, the police didn't come. There was other people there. I said, you know what? Jokes on the culture. Jokes on the law. I'm not touching you. I'm not letting you get in my car. I'm not crashing out for you. I'm not about to come out here and save you. I'm not about to jump in front of a bullet in order to be. I'm not bulletproof. I got a daughter. I got a wife. I don't know you. I don't know what y'all done got into. I don't know none of that. Fellas, listen, this is what I know for sure. This is what I know for sure. It's going to be your fault anyway. You might as well live. Listen, at this point, they've weaponized women and the law against men so much that it's not in our inherent nature not to protect you. The problem is that we've had to recondition ourselves and retrain ourselves on what protection looks like, because now it's going to be your fault whether you do something or not. It's your fault no matter what. It's your fault no matter if she put herself in a position or not. No matter what. Listen, what if the son came in and seen what was happening and then we both got shot? We have conditioned men and positioned men and blamed men and put men at the back of the back burner. And it's so obvious that we've seen how this case played out. And this is the very, very real truth. And this has never been more of a reality check for most guys. Do not, I repeat, listen to me. Don't listen to Umar Johnson. Don't listen to fucking social media. Fuck these simps out here that keep telling you that you're supposed to crash out for these hoes while they in they bed living comfortably, calling them police if anybody ever. Do not, I repeat, if they are not under your covering, if it is not somebody that is under your covering, meaning your wife, your daughter, your son, somebody that works for you, if you are not responsible for their well-being, do not crash out for these people. They don't love it. And that ain't just for women. That goes for, I know y'all keep saying we supposed to save a little June bug and a little nug in the hood, and y'all supposed to go, they over there carrying switches on their pistols. You supposed to stop in your luxury car and preach to them and talk to them and try to put your money and your resources up and save them. They looking at you as food. They will follow you home. They will run in your crib. They will take your chick. They will crash out for nothing. It is dudes that is sitting here waiting in the stores to see who got money and who don't. And then they will follow you home and then rob you and take everything that you got. They do not give a fuck about you. Fellas, you are on your own. It's over. It's over. There is no community. There is no love for you. They're not going to advocate on your behalf in order for you to be able to get out of jail. Nobody gives a fuck about Travis Rudolph. We don't even know where he is anymore. Nobody trying to have a conversation with him. Nobody trying to interview him. Don't nobody care about your Innocence Project. You're going to spend the next 10 years in jail trying to get out of jail. Nobody cares about you. And it can never be more evident than what happened right here with this situation. And again, it's not, I don't want her to go to jail. I don't think that she should go to jail. I don't think that she ever should have been charged. I would not want to see a woman like this ever be held accountable as far as going to jail when she got her hands put on her. I think that the guy should have never put his hands on her. But this is a bigger conversation that we need to have when it comes to the protection of our people. And when you're talking about our people, I'm talking about both men and women, not just women alone. Don't let these people don't let them put the battery in your back for you to be able to crash out. I'm not going for it, and I don't give a fuck what nobody say.